40-year-old Lyn Bryant, known by friends and family as Lyn, lived in the small Cornish village of Ruan High Lanes and actually resided in the house where she was born and raised, with her husband Peter and youngest daughter, 19-year-old Erin. Lyn's other daughter, 21-year-old Lee, had left the family home years earlier and had recently had a baby, Lyn's first grandchild. To Lyn, family was everything. She cherished her grandson and took every opportunity to spend time with him. She was a committed homemaker and a part-time cleaner. She was also incredibly popular and was a well-known face in the close-knit community of Ruan High Lanes. Everyone knew Lyn Bryant as friendly, sociable, and the type of person who would do anything for anyone. At 1:30 p.m. on Tuesday, October 20th, 1998, Lyn got ready for her daily walk with Jay, the Bryant family's tan and white lurcher rescue dog. Lyn walked Jay at the same time every afternoon, whatever the weather. They set out into the grey, wet October day, Lyn wearing a brown Barber-style jacket, a blue jumper, jeans and her walking boots. Witnesses saw Lyn and Jay walking the same route that they took every day, starting at the lane opposite the Bryant home. A lane that leads to Ruan High Lanes Methodist Chapel. Lyn is sighted first walking up the lane. She's seen a second time at a junction near the chapel, this time in the company of a man. This is the last time that Lyn Bryant is seen alive by anyone. Around 45 minutes later, at 2:30 p.m, a woman was driving along the unclassified road that leads from Treviles Manor, a local manor house where she'd been holidaying, to the junction at the village chapel. The narrow road was little used and was lined by trees and bushes. The woman came to a sudden stop in the road when she noticed what looked like a person lying in the mud at the gated entrance to a farmer's field. Upon closer inspection, the woman realised she'd found the bloodied, mud-splattered body of an unresponsive female. Panicked, she reversed her vehicle back up the road to Treviles Manor to raise the alarm. The police were called and the woman returned to the scene with a local farmer that she'd encountered en route. The farmer immediately recognised the woman laid out in the mud as Lyn Bryant. Police arrived at the scene within minutes and an air ambulance was called. Despite the air ambulance arriving just 15 minutes after the discovery of her body, it was too late, and Lyn Bryant was declared dead at the scene. No attempt had been made to conceal Lyn's body. A post-mortem examination showed that she'd been the victim of a prolonged attack and had sustained multiple knife wounds to her neck, back, and fatally to her chest, both while standing and in a horizontal position. Injuries to Lyn's face indicated that she had likely put up an almighty fight against her attacker. Though Lyn's body did not show any signs of sexual assault, the way that her clothing had been, quote, disturbed suggested that a sexual motive lay behind her murder. It's believed that the weapon used was likely a single-edged blade around 10 to 14 centimetres long and was perhaps either a penknife or a small kitchen knife. The weapon was never found. The family dog Jay was unharmed in the attack. Devon and Cornwall police launched Operation Grenadine, which was to be headed by a senior officer. The investigation that would follow would be one of the most comprehensive, expensive and longest running in the history of Devon and Cornwall. Police immediately set about tracing Lyn's movements on the day of the 20th and appealed for any witnesses to come forward. From the response, they were able to piece together a full timeline of Lyn's day and discovered 3 people of interest that remain unidentified to this day. This is how the day of Lyn's murder unfolded. Lyn spent a typical working morning cleaning a local house. As her parents lived nearby, Lyn dropped in to see them briefly after work, before returning home. At 12:45 p.m, Lyn drove her grey Ford Sierra to Harris Garage in order to refuel. Lyn turned back, however, after finding that the station was out of petrol. At 1:05, Lyn drives to Chenoweth's, a garage closer to her home in Rowan High Lanes, and buys fuel, milk and some groceries. At this time, witnesses report seeing a scruffy, white, car-derived van being driven onto the garage forecourt at the same time as Lyn. An example of this type of car is pictured on screen. It was reported by locals that the car had been seen throughout the village in the previous 2 days. Unidentified man number 1, the man driving this vehicle, is described as having a beard, and he did not live locally. Lyn arrives home shortly after leaving the garage. Her daughter, Erin, is home from work. The two have lunch, speak about the plans for Lyn's 41st birthday, and then watch some TV. Erin would be the last person in the family to see Lyn alive. Just after 1:30 p.m, Lyn leaves the house to walk the family dog. The first witness mentioned at the beginning of the video saw Lyn walking alone with Jay on the lane leading to the village chapel. The second witness, a passing motorist, saw Lyn shortly after stood at a junction close to the chapel, speaking with unidentified man number 2. This man was described by the witness as being clean-shaven with dark hair, of medium build and aged in his 30s with no distinguishing features. He was dressed in light clothing. This is the final sighting of Lyn, and it came between 1:45 and 2 p.m. At 2:30, Lyn's body was discovered. At 2:34, the police were called. At around this time, nearby but away from the scene, a local farmer claims to have witnessed unidentified man number 3 walking across a field and away from the scene. The man stood out to the farmer for a number of reasons. First, the field did not have a path and was not used by walkers. Secondly, the man was dressed, quote, normally, meaning his clothes and shoes weren't suited to traipsing across muddy fields. It's not known if unidentified man 2 and 3 are the same person. Police attempted to identify the 3 unknown men. To find man 1, the driver of the white van, police checked car registration details, sent out hundreds of letters to Maestro van owners, and set up cordons where they stopped and questioned drivers of matching vehicles. A white van owner was arrested in the early weeks of the investigation, but was released and conclusively eliminated as a suspect. A facial composite of man number 2, seen speaking with Lyn near the chapel, was produced and is on screen now. Police and media seem mainly to have used this image in the early investigation, and it doesn't seem to have been used in appeals since the 2000s. I'm not sure of the reason for this, but have included it anyway in order to provide a fuller picture. Decades later, none of the 3 unidentified men have come forward to exclude themselves from the investigation. While the search for the 3 unidentified men went on, police scoured the village of Rowan High Lanes. The scene of the murder and the surrounding fields were fingertip searched for days. Extensive door-to-door inquiries were carried out, and all males aged 14 to 70 living within a 1-mile radius of the scene were traced, and their movements on the day of the murder investigated. Similarly, all males known to have passed within a 1-mile radius of the scene between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. on the day, regardless of where they lived, were also traced and spoken to. Combined, this included over 400 men. On October 27th, police produced a reconstruction of Lyn's final movements. A few days later, police and the Bryant family updated the media and made a renewed appeal for information. It was at this time police revealed that Lyn's distinctive tortoiseshell glasses hadn't been found. This detail will become important later. Police also revealed that 3 unknown men, one of whom included the arrested local white van owner mentioned earlier, had been arrested, and all 3 had been eliminated as suspects. It's unknown who these men were or what led police to believe they could have been involved. Meanwhile, forensic work continued on the various items obtained from the crime scene. Specialists found the presence of blue fibres described as a vivid blue polyester cotton mix on Lyn's body. The image on screen was produced by Devon and Cornwall police. The fibres couldn't be matched to a specific garment, but are known to be commonly used in polo shirts and sweatshirts. The fibres also couldn't be linked to any item in Lyn's home, meaning police are certain that they came from the killer. The discovery of these fibres shows more evidence that Lyn and her killer likely came in very close contact, and that Lyn resisted the man. From the altercation, Lyn was found splattered in mud and she had suffered severe blood loss. This means that Lyn's killer likely left the scene also covered in mud and blood. In December 1998, Lyn's funeral was held at Penmount Crematorium in Truro, with more than 300 mourners in attendance. In February 1999, the farmer that had identified Lyn at the scene of her murder also found her glasses in the exact same place. The glasses were found by the gate entrance, clean and sat on top of the mud, suggesting that they'd been placed there recently. Police were certain that the glasses could not have been missed during their fingertip search of the scene. Police believe that the killer likely returned the glasses to the scene for reasons known only to him, though they would not rule out that the glasses had been found by a member of the public uninvolved in the crime, who returned them to the scene rather than to police, as they didn't want to become embroiled in the case. I did find a video by a local man who claims that police had covertly placed a CCTV camera in a tree at the scene in the hopes of capturing the killer potentially returning. The video maker claims that on the day that the glasses were returned, the camera had died. This detail isn't included in any official source that I can find, so I can't confirm if it's valid or just local gossip. Police would also consider the prospect that Lyn's case may be linked to two similar murders in the southwest region of England. The first, the murder of 66-year-old Helen Fleet in 1987 in Woodland near Weston-super-Mare. Like Lyn Bryant, Helen was walking her dog in a quiet, secluded place when she was stabbed 10 times, battered about the head and then strangled to death. Helen's killer has never been caught. The second, the murder of schoolgirl Kate Bushell, who was killed 11 months before Lyn Bryant, 90 miles away in Exwick. Kate had had her throat cut while walking a neighbour's dog in a field near her home. Kate's case also remains unsolved. Police, however, found nothing to conclusively link these cases. Lyn's case would feature on the BBC's Crime Watch programme in October 1999 to mark the 1-year anniversary of her murder. 300 calls were received, but it's unknown if these produced any viable new leads. In April 2000, police interviewed a 33-year-old man who'd been arrested for double murder 400 miles away in Norfolk. I've not been able to find details of who this man is or what made police suspect him, but he was cleared of involvement in Lyn Bryant's case. It's after this that Lyn's case would gradually begin to turn cold. The Bryant family, along with Devon and Cornwall police, worked to keep Lyn's case in the spotlight with regular appeals and local press coverage. Police conducted full forensic reviews of the case in 1999, 2002, 2007 and 2015, and a 10-year anniversary appeal was held in 2008. It was the 2015 case review that produced the most significant breakthrough. Police announced in 2016 that, thanks to advances in DNA technology, scientists were able to use unspecified evidence obtained from the scene 18 years earlier to produce a partial DNA profile believed to belong to the killer. This incredible news was somewhat tainted, however. You see, between 1998 and 2013, police had collected DNA samples from 6,000 people in relation to Lyn's case. Unfortunately, all 6,000 of these samples had to be destroyed in 2013 following a change in legislation relating to the retention of DNA by authorities. When searched using the newly obtained sample, there were also no conclusive matches to anyone in the UK National DNA Database. Police would immediately begin requesting new samples, starting with the most relevant people first. As of 2018, up to 140 people have submitted new DNA. Where that number stands today isn't known. There was a renewed appeal in 2018 to mark the 20-year anniversary of Lyn's murder. Lyn's daughter Lee and her firstborn grandson Keelan, now an adult, joined in the appeal. From this, police received 160 calls, nearly treble that of the 10-year anniversary appeal, which produced 27 viable new lines of inquiry and 13 names, some new, some already known, for police to investigate. There are no more recent updates in the case, and the murder of Lyn Bryant remains unsolved. Lyn now has 4 grandchildren. Her family continue to seek justice and are confident that with the 2016 DNA breakthrough, they can find their mother's killer. Appealing for information in 2018, Lyn's daughter Lee said,
"I would just urge anybody that's got anything, no matter how insignificant it seems, or if you think, well, it's been too long, there's no point now, just come forward with it. It could help. If it's not a name, just something, anything at all could really help with the investigation. There isn't anything too insignificant, or, just, come forward and give them a call. If somebody's had suspicions back 20 years ago, but thought, I can't say anything at the moment because I know this person, I'm living with this person, or I've got my suspicions but I've got no real evidence, so I can't go, just give a name in. That's all you need to do. The police can do the rest. They don't need any more than a name. That's really important, really important.
If you have any information in the 1998 murder of Lyn Bryant, you should contact the police non-emergency line on 101 or Crimestoppers anonymously on 0800 555 111.